Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So it's about 4 weeks into the rains retreat, and we've had lots of time to sit and walk. And so most of you are probably getting to know the 5 hindrances pretty well the last 4 weeks. The 5 hindrances are the obstacles to a peaceful meditation, obviously. And they come in different guises. But yeah, the first one is sensual desires. Second is ill will, irritation, ill will. Third is sleep and torpor. Fourth is restlessness. And fifth is doubt. And I think the first two are mostly for the majority of cause a lot of disturbances when we sit down. And the short could be likes and dislikes. And with all the hours of meditation we're doing every day, yeah, it's good to ask ourselves, why is it that the mind is not peaceful? Because we all want to be peaceful. That's why we're here. That's why we shave our head, go to a monastery, go to a quiet place, reluctantly give up our SIM cards, put away the phones, most of us anyway, and so that we can have a peaceful lifestyle. And why is it when we sit, the mind is anything but peaceful? But first, it's good to know that it is normal for some of us. It's maybe the first time that we sit to be with our mind. First time that we can see, wow, it is a very active mind. And it moves quite quickly. It gets caught up, obsesses about certain things. And I think the thing is that to accept that it's been going on like this for many, many years. Or for many, many lifetimes even. And yet, unless you meditate, unless you slow down, unless you stop, you can't see how quickly the mind is moving and how tiring that is actually. So the first step is, when we are sitting down, realize, we see, oh, I'm not very peaceful. And you think something's wrong with you. You're not doing this correctly. You're not doing this properly. No, first is accept that this is all normal. The mind moving at this crazy speed is what a normal, untrained mind does. But we can start using the teaching of the Buddha to understand the mind a little bit more, but also then to apply the antidote, to learn to work with it, to allow the mind to slow down, to become more still, naturally. And the first 2 hindrances are likes and dislikes. You're sitting here, and it's a bit cold, So you're dreaming of the summer or something, the beautiful summer holiday you had, with nice warm water. You're in Thailand or Phuket or somewhere. Oh, it's a beautiful warm summer I'm having. You're thinking about lunch. Oh, I wish lunch is here. Whatever are different ideas we think that will bring us happiness in the sense world. And it's normal. That's what the mind goes to when it's not happy, not content with the present moment. It goes and looks for or remembers what it thinks are nice moments that it experienced or will experience. So that's sensual desire. Second, and that's likes. Second is dislikes. Or you start to fault find in the present moment. Sitting in the hall in the morning, you're like, oh, it's so hot. Who put up this heat? Don't they know it's 11 degrees today? Who put on this fire so high? Why is it so smoky in here? Why are people shuffling so much? Why are people getting up and leaving, coming and going, coming and going? And they all sit still. So you fault find because you're not happy in the present moment. You fault find in the external situation, or you start to fault find in your own self, giving yourself a hard time. Been doing this for 10 years, 5 years already, and still can't get anywhere. I bet everybody here is in the fourth jhana, just me and my crazy mind, that I can't get anywhere. But that person just showed up yesterday. Look at him, he's sitting so still, sitting for 2 hours. I've been doing this for 10 years. My knees are killing me. So you start to despair. Oh, maybe I should go back to the world, go back to my old job, go back to the pub, or whatever it is that we want to escape to. So that is irritation, that's dislikes, fault finding. And those are the two forces that move the mind from the present moment, that moves the mind from the here and now. And the traditional antidote you hear from the books. First antidote to sensual desires is to reflect on its fleeting nature, that when you give in to sensual desire, it's like an itch. When you scratch it, somewhere else becomes itchy. And it's never enough. So the antidote to sensual desire is finding contentment in what is in the present moment, what is here already. Having what you call the good enough mind. Yes, it's not perfect. It's a bit cold, it's a bit hot. It's not quite to my liking, but you know what's good enough. I can still sit with this. Body is a bit achy. It's not my favorite time of the day, 4 o'clock in the morning, but you know what, I can sit. I can sit with this body and mind. I can be still, a good enough mind. Which is also a good antidote for irritation, with the classic advice you get with Vyapada, irritation, anger, is loving kindness. But I think the mind that is the good enough mind cuts away both those likes and dislikes. It looks at the world and it says, yeah, it's not perfect. It's not what we want. But it's good enough. It's good enough. In the present moment is good enough. That we're fairly healthy. The body is healthy enough to be sitting here. So we find some peace and contentment in the present moment. Find some happiness in the here and now. We're not asking for perfection, but being grateful just to be able to be sitting, have a place to sit, have a body that's good enough, have a mind that is reasonably quiet. Reflect on all the goodness in our life. How things aren't perfect, but they're good enough in every way. So reflect on that, brings a sense of contentment, it brings a sense of peace, a sense of stillness into the mind, into the present moment. And then with that, we can focus on a meditation object, focus on the breath, the body, or the mantra. There's so much. The momentum of the mind, the discontent mind, wants to go somewhere else. Wants to go to a place that's been better, it says. A bit more perfect. Find just nice quiet place, nice quiet cave somewhere. Then I'll get my jhanas. Then I'll be enlightened in a very short time. But as it is, I'm stuck here. I have to do breakfast. I have to wash the dishes. Do some raking. Put up all these noisy people. They're a bit more quiet. I'm sure my samadhi will be much better. It's all the siren calls of a discontent mind, the fault-finding mind. And knowing that, we don't listen to that. We keep inclining the mind back to the good enough, back to gratitude, all the good things that is already here, all the good things that's in our life already, all the good things that's in the present moment. I always remind people over and over again, everything that you're longing for, whatever it is that you want in life, peace, the stillness, the clarity, the respect, the love, the good wholesome qualities that we yearn for, long for. It's already here. It is buried in the present moment. Our job is to become still, to slow down, to become still, to wait right here and allow them to blossom forward, to allow them to come into being naturally in their time. All that we want and yearn for is already here. We just have to become still long enough to appreciate it, to discover everything, all that we need is already here. We have to search for it, the right place, the right monastery, the right teacher, the right monastery, the right companions. The good weather. So developing contentment, developing gratitude are the two pillars, the two powerful tools of a peaceful meditation. So whatever it is that you're happening in your mind, no matter how crazy it is, how unruly, how restless, just keep saying to yourself over and over again with sheer determination, sheer stubbornness, it is good enough. I am happy to be here. Really, really happy to be here. And with meditation, it's a case of keep faking it until you make it. I'm really happy to be here. It's going to kill me. I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. And pretty soon the mind does calm down. Moment by moment, minute by minute. The other three obstacles are, I think, versions of likes and dislikes. The third one is tinamida. It's sloth and torpor. Sloth and torpor is sometimes it is a byproduct of having a very active mind. Because the only time that you're not thinking, not planning, not organizing is when you're sleeping. So when you're not doing that, the mind's like, oh, it must be sleep time. So it turns itself off. And it's something that I work with. But I'm biased, so it's not a problem. 10 a minute isn't a problem. Because you are sleeping, at least you get your rest, right? No problem. You get your rest in. You complain you don't sleep enough anyway. So there you go, you get your 2 hours of rest. Now, I think with tinamida is and it's tricky, but what you do, you try to rouse as much mindfulness when the mind starts to drift away. And it is peaceful. And that's the part of its charm, it's part of its seduction. It is peaceful, but it goes into kind of a dead end because it's peace without the awareness. And that's why some people get stuck in it. It is peaceful. And they sit and they kind of sleep away. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's so refreshing. And it is refreshing because you're getting your rest. But it's not the peace that we're striving for. It's only half the formula. You want peace and clarity. Peace in itself is just, you want peace, just go to sleep. But we want peace and clarity. And with peace and clarity is, I find sometimes as a young monk, I was taught to go, as soon as you find out you're sleeping, jump up and do walking meditation. You gotta fight it. Otherwise you get used to it and you just sleep away and when you're meditating. That's a bad habit. And I would do that. But I find anyway, it might be a bit different. I find it is more useful just really to sit it out, to bring as much awareness into the mind when it's drifting off. And you don't always get it right. Sometimes you drift off and you off into la la land. But at times you can see where it is going to the dead end, or where is it going to peace with clarity. And you're trying to nudge it towards, just like, it's a subtle, you don't push it too much, you go to restlessness. You nudge it towards the breath, or towards the sense of knowing. And it goes to a quiet place that is full of clarity, full of brightness. A sense of your peace, but you're also aware. And that is samadhi. So with sloth and torpor, it is peace, but not the clarity. So you want to do whatever you need to do. Sometimes it doesn't always work. So maybe it is. You find that you are getting into a habit of just sleeping your meditation away. Then you can get up, change posture, do a bit of walking meditation, do some standing meditation. Sometimes myself, I find I sit there until the sloth or torpor goes away. But like I said, with any kind of technique, you need to develop, experiment with it. Find what works for yourself. It's kind of so much of the practice is knowing your own mind, knowing your own, the tricks of the mind, the defilements of the mind, what tells you, and knowing what works, how to work with. You're prone to overthinking, you're prone to fear and anxiety, you're prone to fantasy, fantasizing things, getting lost in lust and whatever. Find what works. Understand the mind. Oh, okay, this is what it's doing. Right? When you understand your mind, when you see clearly the obstacle to a peaceful mind, actually it fades away on its own. Sometimes thinking, going to a long, long story, whatever, then you pull back, you're like, oh yeah, oh, here we go, thinking. As soon as you realize you're thinking, the thinking fades away and it's gone. The stories fade away and you're back to the breath. So much of the obstacles, so much of the disturbance is that we follow it by habit. And we're not knowing, we're not aware. And once there's awareness, these things fade away on their own. And it's not, you don't have to do too much. And the same, the other obstacles, you have restlessness. Restlessness is also a function of the modern world we live in. When we are encouraged to use our mind so much, a cerebral capacity to think, to compare, to analyze, and to dissect, and to verbalize all throughout the day and nights. So of course, when you sit down, the mind will keep on going. And it's unreasonable to expect that will stop on a dime because you decide your mind should stop talking. Hopefully everyone, you all have enough experience soon in the last month to know that it does not stop. Your thinking does not stop based on your desire, based on your willpower. You cannot stop the thinking mind. You have to find ways to work with it. Maybe think in a wholesome way. Think about Dhamma. Maybe just bring awareness, knowing that you're thinking will help counteract that. But also to investigate, why is your mind thinking? What is it thinking about when it does think? Is there a particular place it goes to? Particular topics? Particular theme? Is it something you're doing when you're not sitting? Outside you're sitting? Are you carrying on lots of conversation? Do you reading a lot? You doing? Could do with the food you eat? Is it stimulating? It's all about discovering this mind of ours and working with it. It's not about using willpower, not about using force, but experimenting what works, what helps to calm the mind, what brings a sense of peace and clarity. And doubt is part of, although it's its own category, doubt is part of, I think, restlessness, the thinking. The more you think goes in different directions, A, B, C, D, or F. Right? It just goes on different directions. You know? And we live in a world that encourages that as well, with dozens of choices for everything. From soy milk to the milk chocolate, the dark chocolate that we eat, to the nuts, the cereals. So everything, when you go into the shopping market, is just an explosion of choices that we've been told is good for you. Choices is good. But now people realize that complication is not always means progress. Diversity doesn't always bring a higher level of happiness. Sometimes simplicity is actually more beneficial when you're trying to train the mind. So with choices, with complexity, there's doubt. Am I doing the right thing? You have doubts about, the doubts goes in three ways. You hear the classically explained. Doubt about the teaching. Whether Buddhism is the thing for you, maybe it isn't, maybe something else is better. And doubt about the teacher. Maybe you get another teacher, be better. Or doubt about yourself. I'm just a bit better, healthy. I'm just healthier. I'm just younger, a bit older. Maybe I've got this 20-year-old hormones that's going everywhere. If I'm in my 40s, I'll be more calm. I'm sure I'll be more peaceful. And when you're in your 40s and your 50s, you're like, oh my God, my knees are killing me. I could have done this when I was in my 20s. Then I'll be enlightened. I have a 20-year-old body, I'll be enlightened by now. Because I can sit more quietly. I won't have so much pain, so much energy. So it's always doubt about what you have, what it takes or not to realize the Dhamma, realize peace and clarity. So doubt just goes around and around. And it's not something that you can dispel based on willpower either. Doubt is something you have to work with, live with, until you realize some truth for yourself. Doubt can be assuaded, to be tempered with faith. So I don't really know, but I'll put that aside. I'm just going to do the practice, see what happens. That works for a while, but eventually these doubts come back up again. And unless you experience for yourself some real peace in the meditation, some clarity, some insight, then the doubts will go away. Because then it's not a theory anymore. It's not something just in the book, something that you can experience for yourself. You know for yourself. That's why the Buddha said, only complete confidence in the Dhamma only happens when you see the Dhamma for yourself. When you realize stream entry, then you have complete confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Until then, doubt is something that you have to work with. Doubt is something. But if you know that it's doubt, then that's 90% of the problem. So every time the thinking, a thought comes up, oh, I don't have what it takes. Oh, this is the wrong place. And you say, it's just doubt. But in the beginning of the path, when you're starting out, a lot of the doubt can be also solved by visiting different teachers, visiting different monasteries, trying different techniques. And then sometimes doubts come up and you're like, well, yeah, you've been to different monasteries and things wasn't any better. You've been exploring with different teachers and different teachings, and it's about the same. And you realize that's just the mind playing trick. It's the voice, it's a Mara that says, the grass is greener, the forest is better on the other side. Food's better on the other monastery. Or whatever, nicer caves over there. That's just the voices of Mara talking to you. So with the 5 hindrances, it still mostly boils down to likes and dislikes. think this is Zen saying. So the path to Nibbana is easy and direct. It's short and smooth. If you don't have likes or dislikes. How much more, how much easier practice will be easier. No likes and dislikes. Don't like this person, don't like this, don't like that. That's what the mind does all day long. Imagine how wonderful it is not to have that. So you can also use as the mental exercise. Do you realize that yes, that is we can aspire to. Just to be happy with what is. And I remind people from time to time, one of the ways, like I said, developing contentment, gratitude, the good enough mind. The other way is that everything belongs. Perception. Everything belongs here. Because it is already here. If it doesn't belong here, it wouldn't be here. Remember that? So every good, the bad, the ugly, the terrible, all belong because it's already here. It appears through causes and conditions. And our job is not to pick and choose, to push away, to pull forward. Our job is to be open, to learn to work with what is, not to dream of what could be, not to long for what might be. To firmly plant our feet in the present moment. To be open. To bring as much focus and awareness. What is already here. In terms of our external surroundings, in terms of our own body and mind. As it is right here, right now. And once we learn to slow down, to simplify, we do realize that everything is already here, that we have what it takes to walk the path, that we do have the tools to work with the mind, to cultivate wholesome qualities and to abandon unwholesome qualities, to increase in Dhamma day in, day out. So that is to talk about the 5 hindrances of sensual desires, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and doubt, but mostly likes and dislikes. I offer that for your reflection tonight.
Anmayang Dhammavarikataya sadhu karanda Dhamma se sadhu sadhu